Annie Oakley rightly said, I would like to see every woman know how to handle firearms as naturally as they know how to handle babies. Good evening to our Honorable Speaker, Ms. Sutapa Sanyal, Ms. M. Sethi, Vice President, Managing Committee, Our Girls Degree College, respected Principal, Dr. U. Chaturvedi, members of faculty, my fellow students and viewers. I, Harsha, President of the College Student Council, welcome you all to today's session on women empowerment. Women are a very important part of our society, and the empowerment and autonomy of women and the improvement of their political, social, economic, and health status is itself very important goal. With this idea in mind, we have among us a distinguished guest who would enlighten us on how to empower ourselves as women. It is my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Ms. Sutapa Sanyal, to our viewers. Ms. Sanyal is a consultant, advisor, trainer, and speaker on leadership, gender and diversity, social inclusion, and public policy. She was the first women Indian Police Service officer to serve as the Director General of Police in Uttar Pradesh and is a recipient of the Police Medal for Distinguished Services from the Honorable President of India. She founded the UP Police Mahila Samman Prakosht, an award-winning certified police unit that has worked to empower over 175 million women and children. She has also established close partnerships with not-for-profits and international organizations like UNICEF, ActionAid, and Plan India, and led fundraising, technical, and logistical operations for the organization. Ms. Sanyal had established several initiatives at Mahila Samman Prakosht, including Vikal, Nav Chetna, Akshay, Citizen Cadet, and Rubaru. She served as advisor security to Gale India Limited, as chairperson of the International Complaints Committee of UP Police, and as a member of the Advisory Committee of CARA, Ministry of Women and Child Development. Ms. Sanyal has been lauded as a champion of women and child empowerment, and her work has been recognized by the US Department of State and Interpol. A prolific writer, she has also delivered keynotes for industrial bodies like CII, PHDCC, and SCOPE, and given a TEDx talk entitled, Be the CEO of Your Own Life, addressing India's next generation of women leaders. Currently, she serves as an independent consultant to the Kailash Satyarthi Children's Foundation, an initiative of the Nobel Peace Laureate Kailash Satyarthi. We extend a hearty welcome to you, ma'am, and request you to please enlighten us with your encouraging words.
Harshita, thank you so much. That was a very interesting quote. Arms and a baby, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so at the outset, let me thank the Awadh Girls Degree College for having me today over here on this platform. You know, it's wonderful to see that the government has initiated this Shakti mission Shakti, and your college, the Awadh Girls Degree College, has responded in such a meaningful manner by having these 5 days of practical self-defense, I think, and then now having me to interact with all of you. And yes, hats off to the technology also. I'm virtually in Lucknow after a long time. So thank you once more, everybody, to the entire team and to Dr. Chaturvedi in particular. So I'm given to understand that this 5-day run of self-defense for the NCC and NSS girls have ended, and you would have learned a lot of practical tips for self-defense, the practical side of it. So congratulations to all of you who are associate or who were associated with this program also. But empowerment, it is not just a one-time event, right? It's a process, and processes play out over a period of time. They just don't happen overnight or within a very short period of time. And empowerment has various levels. It has multiple levels. It has multiple processes, multiple ways. It has external as well as internal ways. And today I'll leave aside the external empowerment processes and concentrate and look at how we ourselves, we women, we girls, can empower ourselves. Because I feel, when you are dependent on external sources of empowerment, well, if somebody does empower you, walks the extra mile to empower you, fine. But then you cannot have control over others' behaviors and others' actions, but surely you can control your own outlook, your own mindsets, your own thought processes, and therefore kind of empower yourself. I think that is the lasting empowerment which we are all looking towards. Although in our day-to-day life, because we are human beings, we are always looking outside, right? We are always looking outside for appreciation. We are looking outside for empowerment. That is fine, but I think strengthening our insides is also very important. And during this 9 days of worship of the goddess, I think we also must ignite that Shakti within us, right? That goddess within us. And so that's why I chose this topic of self-empowerment of women, and women and girls. So let me look at self-empowerment at, say, 5 different levels. The first one is, of course, physical empowerment, right? Second is the mental or the psychological or the emotional empowerment, right? Third would be the financial empowerment. That's also very important. And fourth, legal empowerment, right? I'll explain them gradually as we go along. And the fifth one, and perhaps that is most important for me, that is the empowerment at the spiritual level, right? And for a holistic package of empowerment, for holistic empowerment of ourselves, we need to empower ourselves at all these levels and become, become our best selves, or become what, I have always been saying, become the CEO of our own lives, right? So, but then before I start, let me kind of give a disclaimer that, look, I speak from my own experiences, and everything that works for me may not work for you. So feel free to adopt whatever you feel works for you, discard what you feel does not or will not empower you, and also feel free to tweak around whatever I'm saying so that it suits your purpose, your lifestyle, your aims, your goals in life. In fact, your life itself. So now let me look at the physical level, right? As I said before, I'm sure these 5 days would have given you the realization, apart from the techniques that you may have seen, it must have given you the realization that you are your own knight in shining armor, right? I don't feel anybody can come immediately and help you out of a situation, a tough situation, because you have to be the first responder. It is you who has to respond to whatever challenge has come in front of you. Others may come in later on, but you are the first responder. So do keep practicing whatever you've been taught whenever you can, and hopefully you will never need it. But should you ever need it, then you should not fall short of it, because remember, you will always be the first responder to any challenge or any danger which you confront. However, I feel that to be fully physically empowered, you also need to be absolutely physically fit, right? And for that, you need a couple of things. It's not rocket science that I'm talking of, but I'm just trying to, bring your attention to these things, which are so very important, but we overlook all these things in our day-to-day activities. So first is, if you're talking of physical fitness, then there are so many blocks and you have to build upon those blocks one block at a time. So first it is, you must have proper diet, right? I wouldn't say that it happens in many educated families, but yes, in many, many families, the girl is not even given a proper diet, right? We'll discuss more of it later on, how gender stereotypes work, how all these problems have impact on the girl child and as she grows up into a woman. So first, it is a balanced, proper diet with least amount of junk food, lots of maybe liquids to keep you hydrated, then proper exercise. You choose your own exercise. COVID times would have limited options to offer at this moment. But then you can choose your activity, whether it's swimming or whether it's yoga done inside or floor exercises, whatever, cycling, whatever, right? And then, proper sleep. There was a study some time back which said that Indians are sleeping less than the requirement because they're working more. I don't know what's happening during these COVID times, but there was a period of time when it came out as a study that as a nation, most of us were sleeping less. So get your sufficient sleep. Now that will also vary from person to person. So I cannot fix a particular limit, maybe 7 to 8 hours a day or 6 to 8 hours a day. And then proper observance of your daily day-to-day hygiene. Now, having spoken about this baseline of self-empowerment, that is the physical level, let me move on to the other building blocks of self-empowerment. The second level would be, as I have just said a little while ago, the mental, the emotional, and the psychological level. So how do you empower yourself? Through the thoughts you think, the emotions which go inside you, and the psychological responses, the psychological challenges which you face. So how do you do it? How should you respond mentally, emotionally, or psychologically to issues of empowerment? And how do you do it on your own? Okay, the first and the foremost thing is to have a dream, right? And that dream has to be your own dream. You cannot dream others' dreams. It will not give you the synergy. It won't give you the energy to jump out of your bed every morning thinking that, okay, I have 24 hours today to fulfill my dreams. If you are living somebody else's dreams, it becomes a boring, a kind of a chore, a burden. So always dream your own dreams, right? And when I say dream your own dreams, I'm sure you must be linking it up with your passion. Yes, that dream has to be based on your passion. Again, for the tiniest of reason that only your passions would give you that sustainability. Otherwise, you would have seen many people start off with professions or dreams of their parents. And after completing so many years in an education system or in a profession, they just take a U-turn because they were never actually interested. They were never actually interested in pursuing that profession or fulfilling their dream because it was not their dream. It was not their passion. It was their parents' dreams which they were fulfilling, right? So just choose your own dreams, work hard towards it, and I'm sure you are going to reach wherever you want to, or at least nearest to that point, right? When you dream your own dreams, you actually stretch yourselves to reach to, to reach up to the skies, to reach up to that dream which you have been dreaming about. And I always feel, that whatever you are seeking is also seeking you. So just let those two moments meet and you will live your dreams. But then, this personalized dream which I'm talking of would also include a concrete goal in front of you, because that is a tool to reaching your dream. You cannot reach your dream unless you have a concrete goal in front of you. In order to chase that dream, you have to have concrete goals. So while you are following your passion, while you are following your heart, don't forget to take your brain along, because your brain will give you, the tools, the ways and means to achieve that passion, to achieve that dreams. And you need to kind of break up your goals into long-term goals, medium-term goals, and short-term goals. Because, if you stand beneath, at the bottom of a mountain and you look up, it's a humongous task. But if you break that journey into, several base camps while reaching the summit, in no time you are going to reach the summit. So it's very important to break down the tasks into, say, long-term, medium-term, and short-term, right? And the day-to-day ones. Now for this, I think you will need a couple of further tools. So what are those things? Well, one I can think of is to have complete knowledge of the lay of the land. Whatever you are venturing into, you must have complete knowledge about the nitty-gritties of that area, of that surface, right, of that region. For that, you need to increase your knowledge. You need to increase your skills. You need to build your capacity, all pointing towards achievement of that goal of getting the required knowledge. And you have the internet. You have the internet at your command. It's so strange to think, but while we were growing up, we never knew what the internet was. We hadn't even seen color TV for a long time. But of course, the internet has its downside also. It has its web of links and hyperlinks. So as long as you are looking at relevant data and not getting lost into that maze, you can acquire amazing amount of knowledge. The best of the world universities, the Ivy Leagues, they all offer courses, online free courses. And the range is, the spectrum is amazing. And from, your own homes and using your own time frame, your own timeline, you can complete the courses. So you must go into all these things. You must have complete knowledge, all the case studies, all the best practices, et al., whatever is needed to get a grip on your goal, on your objective, on your aim. You must pursue it, right? And for this, another important thing which you need to do is to structure your day. It's always good to work within a structure. Maybe as soon as you get up, maybe you start with making your bed. That gives you the moment to the other chores, as well as your academic pursuits, as well as your other pursuits, right? So have a structure. Moving in an unstructured way, at the end of the day, and I have seen this difference in myself. When I just, although I try to see to it that such days are very few, whenever I go during the day without a structure, at the end of the day, I feel I haven't earned my bread. So it's very good to have a structure, because at the end of the day, you can have tangible outcomes. which make you feel proud of yourself, because that is also important. Genuine self-pride is also important to egg you on your journey. So have a structure. Now, many a times it may happen that you may need role models. Again, unfortunately, we did not, or rather we had very few role models during our growing up times, very few templates, very few mentors, but you people are very fortunate that way. You can have mentors, you can have role models, you can have templates designed for you to work on them towards your goal, but we didn't have them. So it's good if you can find role models. It's wonderful. Find them, seek them out, right? Talk to them, interact with them, seek advice. But what if you don't find a role model? Well, then become your own role model. Become your own inspiration. What else do you do? And I have this template. How can you become your own role model? You're going to ask me that, what are you suggesting? But hear me out. What if you imagine yourself, say 5 to 10 years hence? What role would you put yourself in? What pedestal would you put yourself in? Okay, just do that and let that become your role model. That projected you 5 or 10 years hence is the role model you should aspire to become. And you should start today. So you see, if you find role models in others, fine. But then otherwise, you inspire yourself. After all, you have come this far. And that's not easy in a country like ours, where, there are huge instances of female feticide. Somewhere, our mothers, our parents understood the value of a girl child, and we were born. Then there's infanticide. Children are killed, girls are killed, female infanticide. We survived that. We have come so far. But was it to come just this far? No. So we have to go further. And how do we go further? We go further by empowering ourselves each day, each hour, one step at a time, one building block at a time. So this is something which I wanted to share with you, and I'll share with you, my own example. I am a 1984 batch IPS officer. Unfortunately, I was the only female officer in my batch. And I come from a very conservative Bengali family from Bihar, right? Middle class family. And I was educated in a convent school. And you can imagine the convent school of the 60s, how strict they were. So that entire thing, and on top of it, being conservative, and it may seem very funny to you people today, talking to, boys and men was not encouraged in my family. So you see where I was coming from, and here I land up at the National Police Academy in Hyderabad, and I'm surrounded by 78 other male officers who are in every way physically fitter than me. Because see, I was more into academics when I was studying. In fact, I started my career as a lecturer in economics in Patna University. So you see the background I was coming from. I was not very inclined towards sports and all. And the training of IPS officers is extremely, extremely difficult. It's very hard. You can think of the whole range of physical activities, from unarmed combats to rock climbing to horse riding to this, that, And obviously, I was not able to measure myself up to my colleagues in physical strength and in physical performance. Every day, I would fall behind in races. I would fall off horses. Every evening, I would come back to my room with tears in my eyes and put my legs into warm saline water, because that's the only way I could get the pain off my legs. But then, I kind of dusted off my dress, and every next morning I would go and stand up for the parade at around 5:36 in the morning. The key is not to give up. Just do not give up. Challenges will come your way. The idea is, if you have to grow, keep growing like a tree. And if you fall, then fall like a seed so that you grow again into a tree. Just don't give up. Giving up in life makes no sense. Remember, you have come this far, not just to stay here, not just to come this far. And that was one thought which was constantly motivating me during those difficult times. And yes, another thing, when I said you have to pat yourself, pat your back at times. It's difficult to pat your back, but you should. Because I found I was good at certain things. I was very good at forensics. I was very good at weaponry. I was very good at yoga. So while I found strength in doing those things, I built my strength in the other areas where I was not good. So that is another strategy in life which you must adopt. We keep talking of glass ceilings, and nowadays we talk of glass escalators and glass cliffs also. But I feel your response is the most important thing. How you respond to these things is the most important thing in life. There may be all kinds of obstructions, but how you respond would be the way in which you are going to move ahead, or you're going to stay where you are. And I was reading some WhatsApp message somewhere. Somebody had forwarded to me a beautiful thought. And it said that, the hunting animals, majority of their times, about 70 to 75% of their times, they are not able to capture their prey. So they fail those 70, 75% of times and only succeed, say, 20, 25% of the times. I think we are the only animals. Human beings are also animals, right? Homo sapiens are the only creatures who are so rattled by our failures. So we have to change our pattern of thinking. We have been conditioned into thinking like this. We need to change that pattern, but it's not easy, Mindset changes are never easy, because you have to unlearn a lot of things which has been passed on to you in your socialization process. But we need to do it, not only for our peace of mind, stop brooding about things, but also for, further progress. So that is something which all of us need to introspect and need to do. Another thing which I have seen really works well while you are on your journey of self-empowerment, psychological, emotional empowerment, or mental empowerment, is having a hobby. Hobbies. Hobbies are wonderful things. They allow you to immerse yourself into them and forget the world. They improve your emotional quotient. We all talk of intelligence quotient, but I think in today's world, in today's topsy-turvy world, where change is the only constant, and the rate at which the world is changing, I think emotional quotient is something which is going to give you the edge. So have hobbies. That is a great way of expressing yourself, a great way of forgetting your woes in the world. And it can be a wide range of hobbies. For me, it's music. I forget the world. I forget the troubles of the world when playing my instrument, or I'm immersed in music. You can have your own hobbies. There are 100 awesome hobbies to look into and immerse yourself into in order to empower yourself. Then, another thing which I have felt, which parents should be teaching their children how to go about it, is, self-belief. That is very important, because see, all said and done, all of us girls and women, we are living in a very, very misogynistic world with a lot of patriarchal thoughts floating around here, there, everywhere. And because of this, you are going to face a lot of flack, lot of judgments. No matter how good you are, you will not be able to please everybody. Please be careful about it. And please be aware of this fact, right? And you will have a lot of naysayers around you who will always be predicting your failure at whatever you're doing. There's no escape from this, whether it was my generation or whether it is your generation. These things are constants, right? And don't forget, patriarchy is not something which is only associated with males. It is a mindset. Even a woman can have a patriarchal and misogynistic mindset. So be careful about that. Right? You have to shield yourself against all these thoughts, because these are absolutely negative things which put you down. You know, many people tell me that a woman is a woman's worst enemy, you know, and that rant. Well, you know, initially I used to look for an answer to this question and to this statement rather. But then, you know, I realized it is not the woman. It is that patriarchal mindset working within her, which is the biggest enemy of another woman, right? And when you let these mindsets impress upon you, when you start listening to these noises, there are other noises inside your head which will align with these, and they become your biggest enemy. You know, your mind is your biggest friend, your biggest enemy. You are only limited by your mind. You're not limited by anything else in this world. And believe me, I have reached, you know, the other end of the spectrum of life, have seen so many challenges, but I realized that as long as I had clear concepts about everything, as long as I had a strong mind, nothing else mattered. And this is where self-belief comes in. You know, you'll have all these people, but then you have to think that, okay, well, if they have no other work apart from just thinking about your failures or about you, well, so be it. You don't need to bother about them. You have to have your own beliefs. You have to have your goal clarity, and you will be unstoppable. You have to take care of your own thoughts and your own actions, and the world will adjust. Believe me, it will adjust. Initially, it will try to poke you, it try to disturb you, distract you. But then when they see that, you know, things are reflecting, boomeranging on them, they stop it, and you go ahead. So you have to understand this, and this is actually called self-belief. This is actually called resilience. So resilience is something which you must develop within yourself, right? You have to put down your foot somewhere. You have to thicken your skin somewhere and say, okay, this far and no further for all the stupid talks that are going around you. You know, I always speak of a lovely story. It's a very interesting story. You know, there's this donkey who has gone old. This donkey belonged to a farmer in the village. And the farmer thinks that, okay, this donkey is of no use to you, so how do I dispose of this donkey? So one day he got his friends along with him and took the donkey to a dried up well, and, you know, dumped the donkey into the well, right? And they all started putting dirt, oil around that place into the well, thinking that, well, the donkey should be given a decent burial. Now, the donkey sees that a lot of dirt is coming onto it. So what does it do? It just shakes itself and shakes all the dirt off its body. And, you know, when the dust and the mud and the soil settles down, he gains a little bit in height. So again, that process from the top, then again, the same process from the donkey. And gradually the soil and the dirt started settling down inside the well, and the donkey started climbing up and out of the well. So I don't need to explain what I'm trying to explain from this this short story, but this is how the world is. This is how and why your responses matter, no matter what the world is doing to you, right? So you have to be careful about these things. One very powerful tool which all of you must adopt in your life is to build your tribe. Right? It's very important. It's very important to build your support system, to have people around you who lift you up when the chips are down. Not people who are giving you negative vibes and making you feel worse on those days when you feel as if nothing is going right in your life, right? And for that, you also have to stand beside and behind every other person, rather every other girl or woman who is trying to face challenges, live up to challenges, respond to challenges, and trying to establish herself with a higher goal in life. You have to stand beside and behind her. You have to support that person if the goal she is fighting for is worth it, right? There are many people who are such introverts that they suffer in silence. They will never be able to tell you their problems. They cannot explain the weight they are carrying, but nonetheless, they are carrying a weight. If you can make their lives a bit easier, a little bit lighter, then hats off to you. Building upon these support groups and these circles of support are very important. And when you start building them, you will start realizing it. And of course, do include male allies also in your circle of support. Because, there are many men who support women, but because of the peer pressure, they're unable to talk about it. Because of the fear that they will not be accepted in that, macho peer group, they don't speak about it. So take them along. I'm sure together you can do a lot of good. You can bring about a lot of changes. So whenever such people need your support, help them out. And whenever you need support, you must also reach out. Most of us, we are so inhibited in asking for help. Because as girls, we have been taught to shrink ourselves. We've been taught to shrink our personalities. We've always been asked to adjust. Now this adjustment has gone to such a height that even if we are suffering, we do not have the courage to ask for help. We just cannot think of asking for help. So again, we need to redesign our mindsets. And that's very important for self-empowerment. And then there's that, simple mathematics. You double your joys and you halve your worries and sorrows by sharing. So keep sharing others' issues and your issues also. Whatever you can share. There may be certain very, very core personal issues which you shouldn't share, which you don't feel like sharing. That's fine. And yes, one other thing, a word of caution. You should be kind and supportive and compassionate to everybody around you, right? But be very careful about who you trust, who you actually give space to in your heart and in your minds, because that is very important. Not everybody is worthy of your trust. So that is one discretion which you will need to apply, and obviously it's going to vary from person to person. I cannot think of all the situations at one go. Now coming to another empowering tool, and that is financial independence. That is very important for women, girls and women. And so try to get financial independence as soon as you can, right after you finish your studies. Start small. It doesn't need to be that you need to found a big company and you become your big CEO. No, you can start small and then gradually build up upon it, one at a time. Again, I'll say you people are very lucky. During our times, we just had, half a dozen professions. You either became a civil servant, or you became a doctor, or a lecturer, or engineer, whatever. So you have so many options, and you can do very well in any option you choose, provided you follow your passions. There's always more room at the top. Remember that. There's always more room at the top. So choose a profession and start earning on your own. That is a big tool of empowerment. In fact, I feel financial management is one thing which should be taught. Age appropriate financial management should be taught right from the schools. That is something which girls are missing out on. I mean, I missed out on it, although, later on I took up economics, which had a part of finance also in it as my graduation and master's. But I wish I had been taught how to deal with the financial issues which one comes across. Another important thing is your legal knowledge. You must have knowledge of the laws of the land, of the country where you live in. Well, that's a huge thing, and maybe some other time I can talk to you on it. But that is very, very important. You must have an idea of the legal regime which our country follows. And after this, I come to my last, level of empowerment for the girls and the women who are attending this. I have a couple of points for the parents that I'll come to later on. This last level is very, very important for me. It is the spiritual empowerment. You may not agree with me. That is fine. Somebody is wanting to say something?
No, ma'am, we are extremely sorry for the interruption. You may continue.
No, not an issue. So spiritual empowerment. If you may skip it, or you may follow, because for me it is very important. And remember, the spiritual empowerment is not religious empowerment. I don't talk of religion, right? Because religion creates a lot of mess in our lives also. But spiritual empowerment doesn't, right? So what is it? It's my firm belief that we are basically souls which are housed in bodies. And it's not the other way around. We are souls which are in bodies, and we use the body as a tool to achieve our soul learnings, our soul lessons. In short, to play out our karmic blueprint. We all come with blueprints, right? Again, you may agree to what I'm saying, but you are free to have your whatever other empowering tools you can use. But this is an empowering tool for me, because it is the essence of my being. And I've become convinced over it over a period of time. I didn't start out with it, but then I thought in so many different ways. And each time, I keep coming to the same conclusion, right? So it is no doubt a very, very deep discussion, but what we need to understand, and what I feel happens, is each one of us carries a unique soul print, a blueprint, and we are on a journey in this earth realm during this earth time, and since your blueprint is so very different from mine, your journey will be absolutely different from mine. It may be similar, but it won't be identical. And you can see it in the different journeys of people in the same family, of twins, of siblings. They're living in the same circumstances, eating the same food maybe, but their journeys are so different as it plays out during their lifetime. So how do I go about it? I have this soul print, I have this soul lessons to learn, these soul teachings to teach. In fact, I feel there are just two types of interactions. We either learn from people or we teach things to people, right? And so, what works for me, what I do is to connecting myself to my higher self, to my higher consciousness, and seeking the answers which do not seem to come easily to me. It is only when I'm in this state of connectivity, in this connection or meditation, I would say, that I get a lot of answers which bewilder me in my conscious state. Because the conscious and subconscious minds are very, very different. They are meant to do different things and they function in different manners, right? So now, moreover, each human being is here, he or she has to fulfill his or her dharma. Now, what is dharma or dharma? I look at it not as religion again, but as a duty. And this dharma or dharma, this duty changes at different points of time in your life. And only when you are fulfilling your dharma, when only you are fulfilling your duty, will you realize your potential, your highest self. And for me, this is the biggest definition of success. When you are your best self and you are in alignment with your external and internal world, when you have inner peace and harmony, when you can see clearly by God's grace, by the grace of the universe, through your challenges, through your problems, I think this is the biggest definition of success. This esoteric tool may work for you, but even if it doesn't work for you, let me give you a simpler format. It works for you, so I shared with you. You need to understand that, and it is sufficient to understand that you have duties towards yourself, to your near and dear ones, and to the society, just as you have corporate social responsibility. Each one of us has individual social responsibility too. So while you are doing good deeds in your day-to-day life and achieving your goals, please do not forget to be grateful for what you have. You know why? Gratitude is a very, very powerful tool. Do the gratitude exercise today or tomorrow and see how empowered you feel. Now, what is this gratitude exercise? It's very simple. Just think of 2 or 3 things which you are grateful for. It can be the presence of your parents, one good friend, a roof over your head, 3 square meals. It can be anything. So be grateful, because who can be grateful? A person who has something to be grateful about. So find out that something and see how you empower yourself. And then also simultaneously have the grace to accept what you don't have and start building up from here, right? So let gratitude be the baseline of building up. And you see the difference, the happiness it brings to your life, So this is something which you should do. And so now, as I said, I have a couple of points for the parents too, last but not the least, because if parents are listening to me, yes, they are, because teachers are parents, and you students who are the future parents, I have just a couple of thoughts to share with you, You see, gender discrimination, gender stereotyping, gender violence, all these things are actually intergenerational issues. They are passed on like a baton in a relay race from one generation to others. Only problem is, it is a race which nobody wins. Everybody loses this race, whether it is the boys or the men, or the girls and the women. Both men and women lose this race because it hurts both. Now you'll wonder how, being women, you'll wonder how men lose out in this race. Well, let me prove it to you. Let me prove it to you, because these are things which constantly, they agitate my mind. So I have to look for solutions, and then when I think it through, I find solutions. So let me tell you how. See, it creates a society wherein, girls and women are largely expected not to think, not to express their opinions, and adjust just to everybody, to every situation, right? So what type of women do we expect? Society expects women without brains. Women should not think. Why should they? Right? They should do whatever they are asked to do. Now, so far as boys and men are concerned, they are expected to have no emotions. Their heart, society takes out their heart from within them. So what kind of human beings are we creating? We are creating half human beings. Women who are not expected to have brains to think or to question, and men who are not supposed to feel any emotion. You must be aware of those silly and stupid, I must say, stupid expressions. What are these? Why do we keep saying these things? Why do we keep stereotyping men and women, boys and girls? We are giving false messages of machoism and unnecessary entitlement to boys and men. And it's difficult for them. It's a burden for them. Why do we expect that only the man is supposed to be the bread earner? So these are things which we need to think about. These are things which parents need to understand, because that is the place. Home is the place, like charity, equality, and all other virtues or vices for that matter. They all begin from home. Why is it that always as a gift we think of giving a doll to a girl and a gun to a boy? Why is it that we associate pink with girls and blue with boys? You just think about it. Is there any logic in such thought processes? And if there isn't, then we better start changing it, because this is the only thing which is going to bring about real change. We even decide professions which a woman is supposed to follow and which a man is supposed to follow. During my own times, nobody ever could digest the thought that a woman could become a police officer. No. The best thing that a woman could become, of course, a homemaker. And next to it, maybe a lecturer. And that is initially where I started out, as a lecturer. So, you have to shape your own life. Maybe many a times you have to go against the wind. But then parents have to support their children in that, So if we are looking at removing gender discrimination and establishing gender equality, then parents are the first starting point, because when they start thinking otherwise, it impacts the girl's nutrition, it impacts her health, it impacts her education, and then the rest of her life. So this is something which all of us need to think, dear students and parents. As teachers, you're also parents, because home is the starting point of all these things. And, believe me, as I said earlier, mindset changes are very, very difficult, because you're accustomed, you're attuned to thinking in a particular way, and it needs a lot of unlearning. It needs you to come out of your comfort zone to think otherwise. But then if we are to see change, we have to think otherwise. We have to break our shackles. We have to come out of our comfort zones and start thinking in a different way. And always remember, as girls and as women, please stand up to the microaggressions which you face every day. Standing up may create a lot of problems, but not standing up to the microaggressions are going to create more problems for you. So please understand that. And, because, it's important because you need to think the right things, because your thoughts will determine your words will determine your actions. Thoughts are very, very powerful forms of energy. Do not discredit thoughts. So if you're thinking the right thought and asking the right questions, you'll find the right answers and you'll follow the right path. So parents, please give equal attention to your son and daughter. Parenting is a very, very difficult, it's a very specialized skill. And unfortunately, most of us become parents by default. And we run and we learn the skills down the path, down the line. But we have to understand that there is a razor's edge, thin edge between concern and control. We should be concerned about our children, but we shouldn't try to control them, and because see, they are carrying their own life print. They cannot, we cannot impose our own broken dreams, our own unfulfilled dreams on them. They have their own karmic debt to fulfill. They have their own karmic actions to complete. So let us not impose our dreams and our blueprints on our children, So what do? You should be a guide, a philosopher, a friend to your children. You have to give them the wings, but help them to soar and find their own skies. This is very important. You have to allow them to soar. You have to allow them free fall, but be the security net for them. Let them always realize that you are not clogging their lives, and yet you are there to help them when they need you. And this is a very fine distinction, but we will, as parents, we have to make that. We have to teach them, how to think, not what to think. That they will find out on their own. Today's children are very, very smart, much smarter than us. So we just have to guide them. You give that initial little push and then be by their side and help them out. And as parents, I feel we are more like trustees. You have trusteeship. We do not own our children. We are like trustees to help them out in their own journeys, in playing out their own karmic cycles, their own actions, reaching their own goals. But I will end with a quotation, with a tiny poem of Khalil Gibran, because I feel it is the best and the balanced definition and definition of parenthood and parenting. So this is what he says. I think nobody has expressed parenting better than him. And he says, your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. Now just notice his words. They're so beautiful. They are so meaningful. They're so touching. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts. For they have their own thoughts. Remember, their own karmic cycle, their own karmic actions. You may house their bodies, but not their souls. For their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. So this is what Gibran thinks of parenting, and I've always felt, no matter how many times I read it, I feel this is the best description of parenting. So let me end by thanking all of you once more for listening so patiently to me. All these thoughts keep occurring to me, and I always have that inner, push to share it with whoever is willing to listen. These 9 days of Navratri, let these be days of introspection, days of empowering ourselves, days of discovering our own strengths, our own Shakti, which is inside us, the goddess inside us, the goodness inside us. And let us partake of her blessings, look within, and empower ourselves. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was really very enlightening. I want that students, if they want to ask any question, they can ask. Um, is there any question you want to ask? Please
Yeah,
go
if you
ahead.
have 1 or 2 questions, I think we can take a couple of questions.
I would like to request the students to kindly raise their hands in the chat box so that I could ask you to ask the question, please. I saw Ritu Tripathi raising hand in the beginning itself.
Why is it that I don't have the button for the chat box?
Ma'am, it is not the chat box, the participants panel.
Okay.
You can raise your hands in the participants panel.
So I can go to the participants?
Yes. The list of participants, they will be raising their hands and then they can unmute themselves and ask a question.
Okay, you monitor that.
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
Normally there are questions in the chat box on the right-hand side. I couldn't see any. Anyway, okay.
We have disabled chat due to security issues.
Fine.
Ritu, can I ask question?
No, ma'am, I don't have a question. It was just a mistake.
Okay.
Ma'am, I would like to ask a question.
Mail me.
I would like to ask ma'am a question, or rather an observation to share with ma'am. This is Seema Singh Katyar from the Department of English. I am a teacher and a parent too. And thank you for enlightening us, because I believe all the change happens at home. And the genesis of any change, we may believe whatever we want to believe, but in reality, all change begins at home. Whatever we might preach, but the way the women are treated at home, children pick that up in everyday life than what we might preach them. So it is very important for women, as you said, to respond to microaggression, not just for themselves, but for the sake of children who are growing up with them in that household.
Yes, of course.
And allowing the children to judge their, to believe in themselves and to trust their judgment, especially girls. Because बच्चे जब कोई decision लेते हैं और वो falter करते हैं, parents तुरंत कहते हैं, देखा, हमने तुमसे कहा था.
Yeah, exactly. That is the statement which should never be made. Yeah, let them experiment with their lives. अभी हम बच्चों को देखते हैं, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, some relative will come to your house or friends will come to your house and they ask the child, beta kya banna chahte ho? How does a 5-year-old child know what he or she wants to become? I never knew it till such time as I had completed my master's. Okay, today's children are far more precautious and far more intelligent than we were. But then, in the lifespan, this does not make much of a difference. The marks don't make a difference. We fixate on the marks. Marks has nothing to do with the way you live your life. Success are totally different parameters. So we need to have broader vision. But Dr. Katyar, this is because of the socialization process that we've undergone. We've been fed all these things. And as I told you, it's intergenerational. At least in this generation, let us stop all these things and reverse them.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
I would like to request Harshita to please ask her question.
My question is, you said that we need to be sweet to people around us, but at the same time, we need to be cautious enough to trust them. Ma'am, I've been trusting people, and like my trust has been broken a lot, and I do not understand whom to trust and whom not to.
See, that Harshita, that will only come through experience, or having somebody who can, guide you. Life has a lot of experiences to teach. That's what I'm saying. Be compassionate, be empathetic towards people, but you should not trust everybody, because there may be people who are trying to take advantage of you. So that thing you will need to understand. Now that your trust has been broken 2-3 times, I'm sure about it, you have found out a template where to trust, how far to trust, and from where not to go further. I'm sure you would have learned it. You would think carefully about it. Think about how the events have played out, where you over trusted, or where you went wrong in the sense that you could have taken another route, but you took a particular route. So I think that those things will come by practice. That is why you have to be slightly wary. And as girls and women, we have to be slightly, a bit more wary.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Ma'am, I also wanted to ask one question.
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, as you said that we should build our tribe. Ma'am, I myself have experienced it. People whom you surround yourself with want to see you doing good, but never better than themselves. It is my personal experience. They want that you should also do good, but once you start doing something better than them, they'll start pushing you back. In every field, they'll do that.
It's their insecurities. It has nothing to do with you. And this is another thing which we as women and girls have to understand. When I went on to my cadre, whenever a question or an issue of being posted to the field came up, and it comes up even in corporates, my seniors would dwell upon the question whether she will do well or not, how will she manage the law and order, how will she do this, how will she do that. So initially I used to feel, look, what is this? Is there some problem in me? Then gradually I understood that it was their, I'm sorry to say, but it was their insecurities which were playing upon, and the lack of diversity and inclusion in our lives, where there are no templates to look up to. If in a service, in a male dominated service, if there are just 6 to 7% women, how many templates the senior officers will have to, judge me against? That was another issue. So you also have to understand where you are lacking and where the other person is not thinking in the direction in which he or she would be thinking, and then have the courage to tell them so. There are ways of telling things. You can ask a person to sit in a vehicle very politely, or you can push a person inside the gate. Impact is what? The person sits inside the vehicle. But look at the two different ways you're adopting. So you have to, but these things don't come so easily, so soon. I also realized it after a long time. Initially, I also used to think that, look, there's some problem in me. But then I understood that it was a part of the system that they were responding to. And the system itself had insecurities in a woman heading the district police charge. Things have changed a lot from the days we entered the service. But then it can play out in different ways in different professions. That's why I say build your tribe. It's very important. Bring in more women if you can. If you are in a position, maybe tomorrow you people are heading the HR of some company. Because diversity matters. If you have the same kind of people sitting at one place, they'll think in the same way and they'll walk the same distance and reach the same conclusion, reach the same destination. So you need diversity, you need variety in a workplace or in an institution for that matter. Diverse thoughts. Imagine an organization which just thinks in one particular way. How will that organization grow? These are things, these are issues which, they should form a part of our day-to-day discourse, day-to-day dialogues. And I'm so happy that your college has been doing these things. It's very important to have these uncomfortable conversations, because then only some solution will come out.
Thank you, ma'am.
This is Maurishri Shukla. I am a faculty at the college. I want to ask you, as you have suggested, we need to unlearn the stereotypes, the gender stereotypes. So I want to ask you just that how our students can play a role in their families in helping their elders to unlearn these gender stereotypes, as we are the grown-ups and we are having our own family, so we can do it in a comfortable way. But the students need to have an attitude where they can try, and they can say to their elders that this is the wrong way, and we should cut down on these gender stereotyping, and we should give equality to both the genders.
Said there was a way of saying things, and today's children are pretty outspoken. They communicate whatever they have on their mind. Way you communicate. See, as parents also, we have to be open to these conversations. We have lived our life in our own way according to our own socialization process, but we also have to understand that the whole world is changing. And if we are looking at empowering our own girls, then we have to change our mindset, number one. And so far as the students are concerned, the girls are concerned, they have to talk it out. They have to, see, we have this culture of silence also. So we have to break that culture of silence. It's not easy. I said it's not easy. But then remaining silent will bring on more miseries. That much I know. It won't be, in very conservative households, it won't be a very easy thing to do. It might create temporary friction. So be it. If for a larger good, some some short-term problems arise, it's okay. I think, see, we have to take a part of the flack. If we are going to bring in some changes, it's not easy. Change makers don't have an easy life. So it's a part of the hazard. So it's okay. It's part of life.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I had one thing to say. You just stressed on living our dreams. So I would just like to share my story with you in this context. My mother always wanted me to become a civil servant. But as a 13-year-old child also, I wanted to be an archaeologist. I had to really resist and say that, no, I want to be an archaeologist and I will be only that. So in this context, and I think this is not just my story, this is the story of most of us. So how can our students resist that thing from their parents of living their dreams and live their own dreams rather than living the parents' dream?
I think the role of counselors in schools and colleges should become very, very important.
May I say something?
Yeah, please. Yes.
So now what I'm feeling, I'm talking to the parents regularly, I'm talking to the students regularly, and I'm finding a big change.
There is a change.
Students are doing what they want to, come what may. Parents are, many parents, some are able to tell them that you have to do this, you have to do that. But most of the parents are not, not forcing their children to do what they want to. So it's a good change which I am observing regularly. Today also I met one girl and her father was there. So the same discussion was happening, and father was agreeing with his daughter. So there is change. Definitely, I'm finding a lot of change in today's scenario. And nowadays, children are completely different what we were. They, I shouldn't be saying, but they really say what they want to.
Yeah, exactly. They express their mind, and
Yes,
they
of
should.
course.
They should.
And parents do listen, because
They should.
yes, they do listen, and I think many parents listen what their children are saying.
And I think the school counselors and the college counselors can play a great role in this.
We do it regularly, ma'am, in the college, and during this COVID period also. There was a counselor, and she used to guide our students.
Things will change, and they will change through dialogues and discussions.
Definitely.
Change by keeping quiet.
Definitely.
That's all I understand.
So, yes, Neetu, go ahead now.
Okay, Sarah,
I
could you
think we
please
can
take
wind
over?
up now.
Sarah, I request Sarah to please propose the formal vote of thanks.
Good evening. It is a great joy for me to propose a vote of thanks to Ms. Sutapa Sanyal for taking out time and teaching us this priceless value to cherish forever. We are extremely thankful to Ms. M. Sethi, Vice President, Managing Committee, Awadh Girls Degree College, for her presence and making it possible for us to host the event. We are extremely grateful to the principal, Dr. U. Chaturvedi, for her guidance in all our events. I offer my sincere thanks to Dr. S.S. Katyar, Dean of Students, and Dr. M. Shukla, Dr. N. Sinha, and Dr. R. Gupta, Co-Dean of Students, for being our support system in conducting the event. We extend a heartfelt gratitude to NSS Program Officers, Dr. N. Agarwal, Mrs. M. Shukla, Mrs. A. Pant, and NCC Coordinator, Dr. S. Singh, for making the event possible. We distinctly thank Dr. R. Krishna for providing moral support and in recording the session. I would moreover extend my thanks to Dr. Priyanka Tandon, Dr. Amina Hassan, and Ma'am Deeksha Sharma for constantly helping us. I'm happy to thank Rupal for helping us in recording the session. Finally, we are pleased to thank all the students for their participation and making the event a success. Thank you all.